Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Brittany, and if this is your first time stumbling across one of my videos, I do focus on fashion, beauty, and lifestyle. So if that seems like something that you may be interested in, please think about clicking on that subscribe button if you enjoy the content, of course. Also, if you're already a subscriber, go ahead and click on that notification bell. I upload twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and sometimes I'll do a bonus video on Sundays, so I don't want you to miss any of them. Alright guys, so as I mentioned, I do focus on fashion, beauty, and lifestyle, but this video is going to be a little bit different. Today we are going to be talking about a subject that I have been asked about time and time again since I've been on social media, which was about 10 years. And it is the subject of confidence. I am constantly emailed, DM, asked in comments, you know, how are you so confident? How can I gain confidence? What did you do to become confident? You know, etc., etc. And I've just never felt comfortable making a full video. I've been asked to do videos about confidence, and I did not feel like I had the right words, you know, because I think that it is definitely a personal journey. But today I'm going to do my best to just kind of talk about my thoughts, and hopefully they come out and they are understandable for everyone watching, and also kind of talk about my personal experience. So if you're interested, then stick around. So first off, I do want to say that the reason why I felt so uncomfortable kind of talking about confidence is because I never wanted to come off as if I had it all together, arrogant, or anything like that, because that's not how I am. I am a naturally confident person, and that's why I did not feel like I had tips to give, because I feel like I've always had that kind of embedded in me. That does not mean that I don't have any insecurities. We all do. I definitely do. But I just did not feel like I had any like 1 through 5 tips to give. But what I will say is that it started in the home, right? And after kind of thinking about how I wanted to go about this conversation, I realized that I actually do have some things to say. And I actually did kind of overcome some obstacles that may help you all, but it may be in a different way than you may expect. So again, it started at home for me. I was always uplifted in a positive way in regards to looks, accomplishments, and things like that. My mom always told me I was a pretty girl. I've always been told that, you know, from family members. I grew up in that kind of environment where they really did nurture and uplift that confidence, you know what I'm saying? But because we are a family that enjoys looks and material things, not that that's the end all be all, I was made aware of my flaws as well, but not in a way that I felt like I was less than, or in a way that I felt like I was being put down or anything like that, right? So I always say this, my mom is hard on people. Like my mom, she likes the most, like when she says that someone's pretty or beautiful, like she means it, and everyone in the world would probably agree with her. She is one of those people who looks at beauty and it's a high level, you know what I'm saying? So because I kind of knew that, like I never focused on my looks per se, because I was always told that I was beautiful. But what I will say is that that did not help me get friends, that didn't help me get a job, and that definitely did not help me get boyfriends when I was younger or growing into my adult life. And I say all that to say it was because though I knew that I had so much to offer, I knew that I was an attractive woman. I never think that I'm just like, you know, the finest person walking on earth, but I do feel like I am attractive, and I know that I also have other things to offer. So when it came to like me making friends and stuff as a kid, I was very shy, which I know some of you may not be able to see that now, but I was very shy. I've always been outspoken. I've always been kind of, you know, bossy, but definitely shy around others, especially those who were in my age bracket. I think because I was the only child for so long, I was just used to being around adults and my aunts and uncles, and you know, I just like really was around them a lot. So when it came to being around kids, especially girls, it was different for me. Now, I wasn't ever one of those girls who said, oh, I get along better with boys, because I don't. I'm a girly girl. I did grow up kind of like a tomboy, but not in mindset, more so in the way that I dressed. So I definitely had a fear, I think, of girls growing up, because I was always kind of an outsider when it came to friends or making friends. I had friends, I had a small group of friends, but I think even up until my adult life, I've always had friends that did not really share the same interest as me when it came to fashion, hair, things like that. They were into it, but not nearly like I was. And for me, I have always been like that. Like even as a little girl, I wanted to do hair and all of that. And my friends, even the ones that I have that are closest to me up until this day, they played basketball, and you know, they were like into sports and stuff like that. I was a cheerleader, of course, you know, so it's just a different dynamic. But getting back to when I was younger, I always just kind of felt like I did not fit in. I was definitely not a girl who liked to go outside. I've always been like this. I know I talk about this a lot in vlogs and I joke about it, but I absolutely hate going outside. Like as I've gotten older, I've gotten better about it, but I hated it. Like I used to cry and want to stay inside with the teachers. And that's probably why I did not make friends the way that I should have, because I wasn't doing things that children should be doing. You know what I'm saying? Being outside, playing. Of course I did play outside, but it wasn't like, it did not come natural for me. So like I mentioned, like as I got older, I do want to say that I did go to like Catholic private schools, and my friends did very well academically, and it was not about looks. And I feel like they and their parents at the time kind of looked like, you know, maybe that's all that I had to offer, which is kind of weird, you know, being like a 7-year-old or 8-year-old, but that's kind of how I feel. And that's kind of how I felt then. I just didn't really know how to articulate it as much, but I kind of felt like I was always judged for being on, and you know, just hair always done, perfectly dressed, never like anything out of place. And that's just how I was raised. So, you know, I realized that maybe I did start to have insecurities that had nothing to do with my looks, but more so about me as a person, like my personality, me fitting in. And I started to like always kind of apologize for how I was, because again, I'm outspoken on top of that. So, you know, like I would always have to say like, or I felt like I had to say, well, you know how I am, girl. You know, I'm blunt or whatever, just kind of apologizing before or whatever have you. And it wasn't until I got kind of older that a friend of mine told me like, girl, you do not have to apologize for who you are. You're like everything. And anyone who kind of, if they don't feel comfortable around you being your 100% self, then they're uncomfortable with themselves. And my mom has always told me stuff like that, but I don't know what it is, and I'm thankful for it. I don't know what it is, but I've never thought people hated on me. I'm not the type of person that's like, oh, they're haters because they don't like me. I think because I've always had at least one person that did not like me for absolutely no reason, and I just couldn't figure it out. But to me, it was my problem, and it should have been just their problem. Does that make sense? So anyway, as I got older, you know, I started making friends, of course, more and more, but still kind of feeling like an outsider. Coming from private school and going to a public school, things were very different in that aspect. Girls were very different, and I was nothing like that. And so I started to try to mold myself to become something that I kind of was not. And fast forward, I know you guys probably don't want to hear my whole backstory because we are talking about confidence, but I did want to kind of let you know I started to doubt myself a lot, and it had nothing to do with how I looked, how I dressed. It was just more so of like, Am I unlikable? Is it my personality or whatever have you? And honestly, I've always thought I had a great personality, but because of the way that I may have been treated, maybe because of the way I looked, the way I dressed, what people thought about me, whatever have you, I started to doubt that. And when I went to college, I want to say my sophomore year was just so groundbreaking for me. I come from a close-knit family, especially immediate family, and I won't say that I was sheltered, but maybe I was. Maybe I was sheltered a little bit. You know, we're a Southern family, a Southern middle class family that I never had to want for anything. Anything I ever wanted, I asked for it, I somehow got it. And I think that kind of translated into my adult life, which is like, no one can tell me no because I will always get it myself. And even though I may have been considered a bit spoiled growing up, I'm not a spoiled adult because I know nothing is owed to me. And I don't know how, but my parents really did instill that in me in such a beautiful way. Especially being a spoiled kid, you know, I literally do everything on my own. But anyway, going off to college, being by myself, struggling alone. Now, of course, my parents were there readily available. Of course, my mom was in tune and, you know, all of those things. But if my mom sent me money and I ran out of money, I would never ask for it. So it just was a time for me to like really sit with myself, learn myself, get to know myself. And that really brings me into this whole confidence thing, because I always say this: when you get into a relationship, you don't immediately tell people you love them, right? Am I right? You don't, because why? You don't know the person. That goes for yourself as well. You cannot love yourself if you don't know yourself. And it's hard to know yourself when you're under maybe your parents' household fully, you know, especially if they are like sheltering you from maybe things that could harm you or whatever have you, even people that may say things that hurt your feelings. Your parents kind of have that, you know, shelter, that kind of hover thing over you. And when I went off to college, I was there by myself and I had nothing to do but to get acquainted with people I did not know. None of the people that I went to high school with, my best friends that are still my friends to this day, they didn't go to college with me or anything. So I was literally left with my thoughts, and I went away for school a little ways. So it was definitely a brilliant time for me to learn myself, get to know myself, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then in turn start to love myself. And that was the best thing I ever could have done. And I honestly wish I would have gone even further off to college, because I feel like it would have hit even harder. But of course, God always has a plan, you know? So when I was in college, I really had to sit with myself and realize, you know, you're bossy. Sometimes you may say things that people didn't ask for, you know, and it's not necessarily an unsolicited opinion, because I can't stand one of those, but definitely like with friends, like I would never do that to a stranger, but like to friends, I was a little blunt. I've always been that way. Very blunt with advice, or, you know, if it was a sensitive subject for them, I didn't know how to like, oh, woo, woo, woo with it. You know, it was just like straight hardcore. That's not always received well. And I had to realize that that was one of the main things that I learned about myself. Another thing that I learned about myself is that I am stubborn. I don't like to be told what to do unless I am getting paid to do it, or it's someone who I 100% respect, like my parents, or a teacher, you know, because for me, I look at teachers like they're giving me a grade. Even though I'm working hard for it, I respect them because they have something that I want. And I know that may seem crazy, but I don't like to be told what to do. I also learned that I can be very hard. I have a very hard exterior, and I think I'm a little bit softer, but I honestly did not become soft until I learned who I was and I allowed myself to become vulnerable. So it's so crazy how going through nights of literally crying and not understanding certain things, why things were happening, or why these people are leaving out of my life, or whatever have you, whether it was my fault, their fault, or no one's fault, and it was just the season was up. It was such a huge lesson for me, and it made me realize that I had been so insecure about relationships, about people, and I didn't feel like I could trust people, and that made me feel less confident because I'm a girl's girl, and for me to be a girl's girl and not have the typical girlfriends like Sex and the City or the show girlfriends, or just like a huge group of girls that I felt like rode for me the way that I would ride for them, or always is excited to see me, not me being too much, or me being too boisterous or whatever, or me taking any, I don't know, taking up too much space, so I felt like that was the time where I realized those faults, and then, or maybe considered to be flaws, and I was able to work on those, learn that that is who I am, and learn how to kind of change things that I didn't like about myself. And that's so powerful. You have to be able to self-assess at all times. That's one of the main lessons that I learned, was self-assessing. It's so important to know who you are, and no one can ever come and tell you something different. That's why I feel like I'm literally built for social media. That's probably why I seem to come off so confident and so unbothered. But I am bothered by certain things, but I'm definitely not gonna let it tear me down, because I was built for this my whole life. It all makes sense now because of me feeling that way. It does not leave room for strangers to come in and make me feel like I'm less than, like I'm not good enough, like I'm not pretty enough, like anything, because I know me wholeheartedly. So I always know when a troll is coming and stepping with some foolishness. So during that transition period for me, I went through like a religious battle. I'm not going to get too deep into it because it's personal, but I definitely went through a religious battle. And again, I grew up Catholic. I also went to a Seventh-day Adventist school. So I've seen different ways of the Bible, if that makes any sense. And when I tell you guys, I prayed my heart out. I prayed and prayed and prayed more than I ever did. At a point, I stopped praying because I'm like, child, I don't even know what's going on. But definitely was a lot of prayer during that time. And what I've realized is that confidence definitely comes from God. And when I say God, I mean, He put you on this earth for specific purpose. That's where your confidence comes from. It should not come from the way that you look or any material things that you may have. It should always come from who you are from within. And for me, more so what I can offer, because that is a part of who I am as a human being and my purpose in this world. So that was huge for me. That helped me even find my purpose, which I would let you know my purpose is to uplift, encourage women in the things that make me happy, like fashion, beauty, and lifestyle. So through that, I mean, you would not believe how many women have cried to me or messaged me saying how I just make them feel like they can do anything, or they are so confident because they've seen me style certain things. It's funny because everything that you do is for the greater good of the kingdom, no matter how small you think it is, no matter how minuscule that you think or unaffected people may be by the small things that you're doing. Like fashion is very frivolous. Fashion and beauty, very frivolous. But you can touch somebody, and especially if you know your purpose, you walk in that. And so that's how I know that confidence definitely comes from God, because I've always had that sense of strength about myself and confidence. Now, it was rattled a few times, but it never wavered so much to where I felt like I was nothing, to where I felt like I couldn't stand beside another person. You understand what I'm saying? Even going through bad relationships where I've been torn down completely, I still had that strength about me. That's Godfidence. That is God. You know what I'm saying? That is God. And piggybacking off of what I said, it should not be about your looks. I realized that beauty wasn't enough for me. Though I was told that, that almost became like a nothing thing. And I'm not saying, again, I'm the most beautiful person in the world or anything like that. I'm just telling you what was instilled in me, that I was a beautiful person, a beautiful girl, you know what I'm saying? And that just wasn't enough for me, because I realized that that didn't get me where I wanted to be. That didn't get me friends like I mentioned. That didn't get me straight A's in school like I wanted. That did not get me jobs or anything like that. So I had to really hone in on the things that made me who I was outside of looks. What can I offer the world? How hard can I work to get the things that I want? That's why I'm such a hard worker. And I think that ties into confidence. So you have to find that thing that makes you feel good about you. Me looking cute with makeup on doesn't always make me feel good about me. I can sit here with a full face of makeup on and still feel bad. But when I accomplish things, when I work hard and fail, when I work hard and achieve, when I just put my best foot forward and put my all into something, that is when I feel my best. That's when I feel the most confident. So it has to come from within. But again, you have to know yourself to love yourself in order to be confident. So it's really a cycle and a circle that you have to be willing to go through. And it's not fun, magical peaches and cream. Okay, it's just not. It is, for me at least, it was a pivotal moment it was a turning point where I struggled, you know, real deep and did soul work to get to this point. And I'm so grateful because it was always there. I just couldn't pinpoint why I deserved it. I couldn't pinpoint it and stand strong in it with others because I felt like it was too much, right? So never dim your light. And what you have on the inside is definitely what sets you apart. There are millions of beautiful people in this world, beautiful women. There are millions of smart people in this world. But what is that thing that makes you you? What is that thing that no one else can touch? That is the thing. And let me just tell you this, because I talk to my girlfriend about this all the time. The thing that makes you you and that makes you so special is oftentimes the same thing that people ridicule you for, and the thing that you kind of feel a little bit insecure about. For me, it was my personality. My personality is what makes me who I am. That is why I thrive in social media. Though I don't have huge numbers for being in the industry for as long as I have, it's the personality that I have that keeps people coming back. I'm not the best dresser in the world. I love fashion. I like the way I dress. But of course, there are other women out there who dress way better than me, and they're still not where I am today. And that is because of who I am, that special thing that I hold that no one else can touch. And again, like I said, it's usually the same thing that people may ridicule you for. I was always ridiculed for having too big of a personality, not invited places because I may take up too much space. So that is the thing that made me who I am, though. So really, you know, get into that insecurity that you may hate so much, may be your ticket to confidence. Also, when it comes to my weight, so you guys know, if you've been following me for years, I was much larger than I am now. And even after me getting down to my smallest weight, maintaining has been okay, but my weight has always been an issue for me. And that means like maintaining that weight is what I'm saying. So, you know, though I've lost a ton of weight and some people may think, oh, you should be happy, like you're good. The gaining, the losing, the gaining and the losing has always been a thing for me. And what I've had to realize that that's going to be my struggle that God gave me. And again, it aligns with my purpose. I speak to women. I uplift women. Women go through this. And so being that I share this openly on my platform, that is what makes you guys think that I am confident, because I am confident enough to share my insecurity. you have to get to that place as well. I don't like getting on the scale and being like, oh, I'm 10 pounds heavier. But now that I know that that is a part of my purpose, it is the ongoing work that I have to do. And I show you guys, I'm not ashamed of it. That's what makes you guys look at me and say, you know what, I really like her. She's real, because she's not acting like she doesn't have any issues. I do. And especially in the industry that I'm in, when it comes to looks, it's huge. So I'm confident enough, because you can't tell me nothing about me that I don't know. I know I'm overweight. I know I've gained weight. I know when I've lost weight. I still feel good regardless. I felt good at my highest, and I feel amazing at this weight, even though it's not the weight that I'm happy with because of quarantine. But again, the confidence is not about that. It is the ongoing work that I'm willing to put in that make me feel so confident, and I'm willing to share because I know it will uplift and help somebody else. I find joy in that. That's what builds me up as well. Another point that I want to make is that confidence can never come from others. I know I mentioned before, looks didn't get me friends and it didn't get me boyfriends, right? And sometimes women think that they can get in relationships, and when they're in a relationship, that's when they're their most confident. But what I have seen is that those women can never stand alone. That is a scary place to be in, because people change. People change up, they switch up, whether with good intent or ill intent. So you know, you always have to make sure that your confidence is coming from you, and it's not dependent on or contingent upon others liking you, others wanting you, others lusting after you, any of those things, because those things don't last. The only lasting thing in this world, the only constant, is you with yourself while you are alive. That's the only constant, and time, of course. But other people come and go, even family members sometimes. So your confidence has to stand alone. It has to be something that you have built. And understand this, like a lot of people say, when you build something, you appreciate it more. It's the same with confidence. When you've done the soul work to have the confidence and to be confident, can't nobody tell you nothing, girl. Can't nobody tell you nothing. So it's really important for you to be willing to do the soul work, to hurt, to grieve, to weep if you have to get to the point where you are happy with yourself. Love yourself, know yourself, and be confident. That way you can then share yourself with the world, because a lot of times your confidence is what's stopping your purpose. If you're out there wondering, well, I don't know what my purpose is, I don't know what I should be doing, you may want to work on that confidence. You may want to. So I want to kind of wrap this up, because I kind of feel like I was going off on a tangent a little bit, but I prayed about it, so I'm hoping that it touches someone. But once you master confidence and loving yourself and knowing yourself and just knowing yourself inside and out, I promise you, you would never dim another person's light. And do you know why that is? It is because you cannot focus on anyone else's grass while you're watering your own. Confidence is ongoing soul work. Ongoing. You don't just become confident one day and it never goes away again. It's hard to be knocked down, but you can be knocked down. And that does not mean that your confidence just goes away completely. But it can definitely be knocked down a bit. Whether it's from a bad relationship, whether it's from not getting a promotion that you felt that you deserved, whether it's from friendships dissipating, whatever it may be. Whatever it may be, the obstacle that you have to overcome in your life that can maybe knock your confidence down a notch, it's ongoing soul work. So once you learn that, you will never dim another woman's light. You will never catch me dimming another woman's light on my platform, ever. Because I know how hard it is to get in front of people. I know how hard it is to wake up every day, to be in a positive mood, to exude positivity to an audience. I would never do that. And it's not because I'm better, and it's not because I just can't be caught talking about nobody, nothing like that. It's because I'm too busy watering my own grass. I'm too busy praying for the strength every day to do what I need to do, to be worried about why sis can't do what she needs to do, or why she's doing something that I don't like. You see what I'm saying? Because I see things that I don't like all the time. I see people switch up, act funny, all the things. And guess what I do? I just keep on scrolling. That's it. So I promise you, you would never dim another woman's light once you get into that. Once you hone into that confidence, I promise you, you won't. And you will be able to stand beside another woman with no problem. You will never have to dim your light. You would never have to ask them to dim theirs, because your lights are both shining and they are both serving a purpose. So that is my spiel on confidence, guys. Okay, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I tried to be as transparent as possible. I really just gave you guys my life, and just hoping that it helps someone out there. So thank you so much for tuning into this video. Give it a thumbs up if you like these videos. I do these very few and far in between, but I definitely know that this is a part of my purpose as well. So if you enjoyed this, I would appreciate your feedback, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye, guys.